Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about a really popular trend that's actually causing more clutter in your life than resolving the problem that it claims to solve. We're going to get into that in a second. But if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Flora, certified simplification coach and 7-time author. And for over 27 years, I've been helping women like you align into a life and a business that you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear out the 9 types of clutter keeping you from a life that you love. Please subscribe or follow this feed so you get notified every single time an episode is released. And as promised, today we are going to dive into this really popular trend. And this is the trend where people buy the childhood toy that they never got. And they're doing this in hopes of healing some part of their inner child. Now, yes, at first glance, this seems really sweet. And I would even think harmless even, but is doing this really healing? Or does it just create more clutter in your life? I'll tell you mine. On my 10th birthday, all I wanted was a Cabbage Patch doll. That was all the rage. And that was the only thing I asked for when my mom asked me, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, I only want a Cabbage Patch doll. Instead, I got a knockoff doll and about 10 other random things that I never asked for. Now, on paper, it looks really generous, like, wow, I got all these gifts and, more variety. But as a kid, I remember thinking, first of all, why would she ask me what I wanted and not give it to me? And then 2, she could have saved her money from buying the knockoff and all these extra toys and literally just got me that one thing. Now, having my mom ask me what I wanted and then getting something different, for my 10-year-old self, it was very confusing because ultimately I wanted to feel heard and seen. I wanted to feel like my voice mattered. I wanted to feel like when she asked a question and I gave her an answer, that she took that answer as a valid answer, a valid response, instead of, well, she said this, but I'm going to do this instead. And not getting that doll planted the belief that I really didn't realize was growing until years and years afterwards, which was that asking for what I wanted doesn't matter because people don't really listen. And I found that story repeated itself in my life like a broken record. Like, one year for Valentine's Day, I was asked what I wanted, and I said, please don't get me a card, because I'm not a sentimental person with cards anyway. I'm like, please don't get me a card. I'm going to throw it away in like a couple weeks anyway. And please don't get me chocolate because I'm trying to lose baby weight. And what I ended up getting was a 3-foot card. 3-foot, I kid you not, a 3-foot card and a 5-pound box of chocolates. Another time, I was asked what I wanted. This is from a different partner. And I said, I would love a potted plant. I'm obsessed with plants, as you can see. Well, maybe you can't. I have lots of them around. But I wanted a potted plant instead of flowers. And when they asked me, why don't you want flowers? I said, well, they die. I feel like it's kind of a waste of money. And they also asked me what my favorite flower was, which was peonies. It still is, or peonies. And I ended up getting 4 dozen cut red roses, my least favorite flower of all time. So again, each time I was either ignored or overruled or given the opposite of what I wanted. And each time that message landed more clear and more deep is that I was irrelevant, that my preferences were too much, and that my ask didn't matter. So eventually I started treating it like a game. And whenever I was asked what I wanted, I'd say the most random things. Like one time I said, I want an Ewok teapot just to see what would happen. Spoiler alert, I did not get the Ewok teapot. I don't even know if things actually exist like that. But once I was no longer in these relationships, and I had space to myself, I actually started to really look inwards and ask some really deep questions. And I'm like, do I trust my own voice? Do I believe that I'm worthy of receiving what I ask for? And why did I stop asking seriously in the first place? And this is what I found out. It was never really about the gifts. It was about the other person's projections. It was about their fear, their own unresolved stuff, their guilt, their assumptions of what I said versus what I wanted, and also the motives behind why they chose to give the gift in the first place. And ironically, my mom used to tell me, consider the source whenever, things would be interesting, let's just say. And now I do. So would I buy myself that Cabbage Patch doll now? I've thought about it, and the honest answer is absolutely not. Why? Because I've done the work. I no longer need a doll to validate my younger self. Buying it now really would not heal anything. It would just be another piece of clutter that I would donate next spring, or probably a month after or so I bought the doll. So another thing that I realized in kind of doing this soul searching is that, yes, gift giving is about the intention behind it. But when you consider the source and consider the perceived obligation, I've talked about perceived obligations many, many times on this podcast. And when I looked at and took into account the person, the perceived obligations, and the emotional intelligence within each person, then I realized that any gift was just that. It was a perceived obligation of, it's Valentine's Day, I need to give a gift, or it's a birthday, I need to give a gift, without really taking into account my lifestyle, what I do, what I don't do, what I like, what I don't like, all the things. And it was so fascinating to kind of dig deep and do this work, because those people that would always give those perfect gifts know me. They took the time to really look at the way that I live my life, to look at what I actually say, what I do, and what I mean behind what I say. And I say what I mean. And I'm a very matter-of-fact person. And those people that would give the perfect gifts, no, I'm very utilitarian in gift giving. Like, I want to make sure that personally, when I give a gift, I ask, do you like this? Do you want this? Do you need this? Would you enjoy this? Yada, yada. I do a lot of digging, and I usually do this months before the event, whether it's a holiday or a birthday or an anniversary or whatever. And I try to give a gift that is personalized to each and every person that I gift it to. Now, granted, not everybody does that level of thinking when it comes to gift giving, and that's okay. But when in conversation with someone repeatedly, I should say, sharing, certain preferences, like I don't like scented candles because they make me cough. They irritate my lungs. I don't use them. I can't use them, especially in the apartment that I'm in now. We're not allowed any open flames. And there's a couple people that continuously give me candles, and I say, this is a great gesture, but please don't do it. I can't burn them. And my apartment building doesn't allow them, so I have to donate these. And every year, it's the same thing. And again, it's that perceived obligation of, it's a holiday or it's a birthday, and I need to give this person a gift. And it's kind of comical if you think about it. And literally almost every single one of my clients, when talking about this, has said the exact same thing. They're like, oh my gosh, yes, like this one, client of mine is vegan. She does not like leather. And this other person in her life gives her leather stuff every single year. And she's like, I just cringe at it, but now it's kind of comical, and I gift it to someone who I know is going to use it and not go to waste and whatever. And it's like, you've got to really consider the source. There's a whole bunch of things that we could get into about this. And, some people might say in the comments, well, this is being very selfish, of not really appreciating the gift for what it is. And the thing is, if it was a thoughtful gift, yes, that's a whole other ball of wax. But the fact that someone absolutely knows someone else's preferences and goes against that, you have to think of the motive. You have to think of the motive, and you have to consider the source of that person. So if this is triggering for you, there's some things for you to unpack here. But let's get back to the topic at hand of, will buying that toy that you never got or that thing that you never got as a child do you any good, or would it just be clutter in your life? What's the thing that you never got? So I want you to think about, grab your journal. What's the thing that you never got that you really wanted to, that you were just like, that's kind of echoing through your life? Number two, what did you hope that it would give you? What did you hope that it would give you? For me, it was to feel seen, to feel included with my friends who were all getting the trending doll. I felt excluded from that communal experience that all of my friends were having. Number three, what would getting it now heal for you? So again, think about, what was the thing that you never got? What did you hope that it would give you as a child back in the day? And what would getting it now heal something? Or what would it heal, if anything? What would resolve itself? And again, after doing my own work around this issue, getting it now would not heal anything for me because I've already done the work. And I'm not saying that like I'm holier than thou. That's not where I'm coming from here. I had the opportunity after years of seeing that repeating pattern of being asked, what do you want? And then saying, and then not getting it. When I finally had space, I was like, when I finally chose to make space to do the work around it, I'm like, what does it actually mean when someone asks and then I share and then they give me something completely different? What does that actually mean for me? And your situation could be completely different. So maybe getting that toy for you would heal something, but that's only for you to decide. But do it from a place of intentionality and really digging into what that item actually meant for you, okay? I actually have to share another story real quick. So my third marriage, he asked me, what was your favorite childhood toy? And I was like, oh my God, an RV. And he's like, what? And I said, yes, this little Winnebago RV. And if I can find a picture of it, I'll post it here, wherever on the screen. And he actually got me the little Winnebago toy. Now, granted, this was at the very end of our marriage, and this was also after I mentioned that I was not happy. I was seeking, therapy and counseling, and that I was going to ask for a divorce. And so I found it very ironic that when, after 8 years, I was done, then he finally decided, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to get this for her. And this was a toy that was randomly in our playroom. I was the youngest, or I am the youngest of 5 girls. So we had a giant playroom that had Legos and toys and all the things so that all the toys could be contained in one space. And I don't know where this RV came from, but I would play for hours and hours and hours with this RV and just, driving it around on this road carpet. We had like this carpet that had hopscotch and a road and all this other stuff. And I loved it. And it was the most fun. And, I moved away, grew up, did all the things. And I still have that toy. It's actually in a storage box, in a childhood memory box. And I love that toy. I love it. And I prefer the little Winnebago over the Cabbage Patch doll. But again, the Cabbage Patch doll was something that I did not receive. The Winnebago was just there, and it was amazing. And I've always had a great sense of adventure. So think about this. Again, consider the source. When stakes were not high, I was not listened to. And then finally, when I was ready to leave and jump ship, the person finally decided to listen. So again, considering the source of the gift and the motivation behind the gift should be taken into account when you think about this trend and whether or not you think about bringing it into your realm and purchasing the toy or that thing that you never got. And so this brings me back to number 4. So number 1 was, what's the thing that you never got? Number 2, what did you hope it would give you back in the day? Number 3, what would getting it now heal for you? And then number 4, What would it have meant to get it back then? What would it have meant to get it back then? Back then, as I've shared, it would have meant that I would have been heard, that I mattered, and that I would be seen as me and not one of my 4 older sisters. So I would love to hear from you. What's the one thing that you never got as a child? And would you get it for yourself now? Share that with me in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your story. If you want to stitch this with me or do a video reply or whatever, go ahead and mention me in your description. It'll tag me so that I can watch this. But I genuinely want to hear your story because this is something that I find truly, truly fascinating. And it's something that I talk about with my private clients. So because the one thing that we never get sometimes is the greatest gift of all. So I would love to hear your insights on how this whole trend, if you've participated in it or not, how it's impacted you. And yeah, so if you found today's video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you know every single time an episode is released. And I will see you back here next week. Bye-bye.